Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Guile here, and welcome to another Supreme Commander Epic. That's right, Epicosity dons our doorstep once again. But it's going to be another Setons, and I just realised I didn't put that in the little scrolly bar at the bottom, but that shouldn't bother you. It doesn't matter to me at all, as you could tell by the pitch in my voice. Not worried about it in the slightest. Yeah, thank you again to Rowie. I mentioned him before. He was the chap running the Galaxy Cup. He's just sent me the zip file for all of the replays for Q1 of the Galaxy Cup, which happened last weekend. Can't wait to dive into those and bring you guys some tourney action. Q2 will be kicking off this weekend, so there's lots of that looking forward. But first of all, we've got custom 4v4 pro action. It's going to be an epic, guys, so leave it a little longer to watch this one. And I have to warn you, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I need to overclock my CPU because I ran through this puppy, as I do with all replays, to make sure it's actually viewable. And, yeah, there are times in this one when the beast doesn't run it cleanly. And I don't know whether it's because I'm determined to keep Huzzah's scoreboard up because I hate casting without it now. But it gives you an idea of just how much stuff is about to go down in today's episode. So stay tuned for some good times. I'm ready, you guys are ready, and the players are sure as hell ready. So let's go on over to the game zone and see how these guys are going to get on. Chang, ka-chang. Alright, we know what we're doing with here. This is Team 1 up here at the top. This is Team 2 down here at the bottom. Going first for Team 1, rearguard air position. Good morning, Dave. It's the HAL 9000. He's going UEF. I'm sure it's customary cybering for this chappie, but today he's going UEF. He'll probably, you know, sprout up in the comment section now to tell me how wrong I am with that one. But here he is. He's rocking this season's very beautiful regal purple and opening first. Land to the cliffs down here. We've got Plodox. He's going Aeon. I really should get rid of the little namey things there as we go. Plodox in Ferrari red. Aeon opening first air and going second air as well. Interesting decisions there. Suzuki already on the move on the Causeway, going Elephantine Grey and going Seraphim, heading off towards the middle. Land Factory online for his first option. Look at that. That's proper meta right there. Chuck that Land Factory down. Don't even wait. Let engineers erect the base. He's just going to get a move on. And last but not least, in electric blue, going Seraphim as well, it's Achieve Jaguar 8, or Achieve Jaguar as we know him, opening first land and then just going straight to the Hydra, going second air. So that's Team 1, 2 FIM, an Aeon and a UEF. Let's take a look at Team 2, rearguard air position. We know him formerly as Nexus of Reality. He's now shortened it for everybody's pleasure and going fecal brown for a little more extra pleasure there as well. Going UEF, opening first. God, I can't even get the thing. I just be able to move that properly. Apparently my mouse skills not up to scratch. First land. Team member number 2 at the cliffs. It's another UEF. This time it's Jazzy. He's going breast cancer awareness pink, opening first and second air. So it's air players all the way at the cliffs, I'm guessing, to make a move on the side island there. Ajux at the Causeway for Team 2. Where's he gone? He's probably halfway up towards the center now. Just probably scrolled right over him. There he is, blending in there with the decals on the terrain. Ajux going Aeon in Volvo beige, and he opened first land, is going land all day. Last but not least, at the beach for Team 2 in baby pink this time, another UEF. It's Feather. He opened first air. So we've got 3 UEF and what was it? Was it an Aeon? It's an Aeon there for Team 2. Game quality at 94% as the first transports take off to litter engineers towards the side islands. That looks like it's going to be a grab and a hold there for Jazzy. Well, actually, there's engineers heading out now for Achieve Jaguar as well. We will jump back to that in just a second as the 2 ACUs say hello on the Causeway. Suzuki and Ajux start the obligatory mass reclaim mission, interjected with small brief periods of shooty in the facey. Little bit of scout plane versus interceptor action over the top of Plodox. That little scout manages to get through. No transport on the way here to Plodox's side island. Engineers on the ground have a land factory in place. Scout plane out over the top. He's going to wish he sent a few inties over there as well. That's, so it looks like he's got 4 or 5. No, so he's got 4 engineers on there and a THAM. Engineers in play. We're working on a T1 PD. They all get reclaimed, and a quick reclaim order means that those NGs will deconstruct that land factory, and Jazzy's not too happy about it, as you can see from the comments in local chat. Inties tangle over the top of Plodox's base once again, and that looks like it's a nice little win in the air there for Feather, who really could have made a snag on this side island if he'd got his act together. We got any transports on the way? No, he's just not going for it at all. Opportunity potentially missed there. Nice work by Chief Jaguar, though, grabbing that side island. Extra 4 mexes, or 5 mexes, excuse me. Well worth the play if you can get your hands on it. Hard to hold into the mid-game, though. Proximity, of course, very much favouring the Cliffs player down here. ACU's back in the middle, meanwhile, still going toe-to-toe. Let's take a look at who's doing better on reclaim. So Ajax on 5.2k and Suzuki on 5.3, 5.4 to 5.5 there. So very little in it. Both getting relatively even shares of the mass. Suzuki, though, taking a bit of a battering as these Auroras show up for Ajax. And in fact, it looks like Suzuki, excuse me, will be the first to bow out and head into the water, yielding temporary, at least, territorial control of the center of the causeway there to Team 2. Never got rid of Suzuki's nameplate there. Still no play for the side islands. Mr. Transport getting shot down. I can't see any wrecks in the water. This seems like a deliberate leave from Plodox. Not something you see typically in a game of Setons. Standard play for the Cliffs player is to rush for that. Every now and again, as with today, you see one of the beach players make a play for that position. Why not? When you're talking about 5 mexes, that's a lot of mass going. Suzuki re-emerges onto the causeway, blaps a couple of T1 units and gets reclaiming once again. He's got about 60% of his base HP alive and kicking. Gun upgrade on the way for Ajax. He's about 33% done on that. Routed to the spot, of course, for the time being while that puppy completes. Checking back on what's happening over here. I keep waiting to see a transport move in. Interceptors tangling, but still Feather looking pretty comfortable. He must be thinking about going for it soon. He's very much focused on interceptor production. And Suzuki still taking a pummeling, heads back off into the water, this time on the other side of the causeway as he dips deep into the red. Sub 2k HP on the comm. Gun range now on the way, so it's going to be a good old-fashioned Aeon sniper comm there for Ajax. That's going to make life difficult for Suzuki on the causeway, especially with a heavily damaged ACU. Vanguard of Aeon T1 is slowly being depleted, but large band of reinforcements heading north. Suzuki backing up with his commander, 80% done on that second gun upgrade. Ajax is about to become very powerful indeed. T1 bomber overhead, that gets shot down without any difficulty. Good mix of units here for Ajax, who completes that upgrade and continues to push forward. He's going to grab that mechs on the way as well. T2 upgrade on the way for Suzuki, trying to replace some of that depleted HP. One Thunderhead lurking in the waters over here by Plodox's base. Plodox's first naval unit is a sub to counter that frigate. Thunderhead, spying the naval yard situation wisely, withdraws. More frigates on the way. Chief Jaguar setting up shop with his naval facilities in close proximity to Jazzy down here. And Jazzy looking light. This is the typical position for naval yards to go up. I'm guessing concerned about the proximity of the side island. Is going to set up shop over here instead. Full naval yards in play. And in fact, Ajax has got to work over here to assist him. Ajax already under fire from Team 1's frigates. Whatever engineers he had working on these naval yards, they've subsequently been destroyed by those frigates. And Ajax going rampaging through Suzuki's forward positions. Looking at the reclaim figures now, 9.4k for Ajax. Compare that to Suzuki's 6.9, so it's a massive win based on the outcome of that engagement on the Causeway. Ajax sent in more T1. That helped him hold the position, and now he's in control of the mass field and all it has to offer. T1 bombers in for Suzuki, trying to counteract that beige push. Still without any major attempt. Well, what is that? It's a downed aircraft, so still no major attempt of any sort to make a grab for this island. It's positively perplexing. Might be on the way though. You've got a chariot that's just been completed from Plodox. Load that up with some engineers. Lots of inties hanging around, but we've got blue inties as well from a Chief Jaguar, so a little bit of assistance there would help him. But Feather already has made the play, drops in 2 of his UEF engineers, gets straight to work on a land factory up at the back, so that chariot, although laden with 4 NGs, just a little late to the party. Those inties hang about and provide good coverage. You see, they might slack off now that he's already got them into position. That could be a mistake. We've already seen from a Chief Jaguar it's perfectly possible to outwit your opponent with a later drop simply with more engineers, as would be the case if Plodox manages to make landfall. Ajax out in front of his army with his commander backing up slightly now. That's a nasty looking grey group of T1 in the background. Doesn't want to overextend even with that upgraded commander. Back to the naval side of things over here. Ajax managed to hold on to 1 naval yard, very badly damaged though. Doesn't look like he's producing much out of it. It's 4 naval yards there for Jazzy versus the 4 up here for Jaguar. Battle of the Jades. Corner-mounted T2 point defense there from a nice little distance build on Suzuki, providing some cover. It's about to be a second one as well. That's right on the edge of the shore there. Cliff edge that's unpassable, but at least you can scale that beach. And those 2 point defenses are going to give him a nice secure position to regain land control with his comm. Engineers were successful. They got a land factory online, but subsequently got destroyed. Now, reclaim order put out by the engineer over here. 2 strikers lying in wait to blap anything that comes off the conveyor belt. Aurora only has to pop off there and kill the engineer, though, which won't take long. Little bit of micro. Lovely bit of micro there, trying to avoid some of that incoming fire. Kills the engineer. It's the end of the reclaim order. But, of course, those strikers can just tickle it now to death. One unit at a time. Let's take a look at General Eco. Team 2 on 395, Team 1 on 345. And about a 5k mass advantage overall over the course of the game. Beautiful spread from a Chief Jaguar, though, as he attacks the Causeway with his T1 bombers, peppering that spam. Ajax evades as best he can by spacing out his forces. Ah, beautiful bomb takes out a couple of T2 engineers and Aurora, not before they complete the Oblivion turret, though, so a little extra defense added there. If that doesn't inspire Ajax to reinforce with some anti-air emplacements, I don't know what will. ASF's on the field in decent number now from HAL 9000. RAS on the way there for Nexus. See much going on in Nexus Air Force. I've got some up here, actually. Let's take a quick ASF count, see who's leading on that. 17 ASFs operational there for HAL 9000. Nexus is on 16, so barely a bookmark between these two. And Plodox had enough of this, has dropped his commander onto the island. He's just going to go ahead and cap that UEF factory from Feather. He's now in control of that position. Nicely done. Well, if your engineers aren't going to get the work done, drop a bloody great ACU on the island instead. I applaud the sentiment, sir. Attack missile upgrade online for Suzuki. He's busily launching attack missiles at Ajax's new set of naval yards that have gone up just to the left of the Causeway there. Doesn't look like he's going after them at all. Excuse me, he's heading towards the mass options over here, I think. No, he's not. My God, the range on those suckers. Look at that, going straight for the T2 Naval HQ instead. It's actually a very sensible decision. Takes it down to well below 1,000. So many engineers, though. They immediately start repping that up. Will the second missile get that done? Yes, comfortably, I should think, assuming the volcanoes don't go online first. That's going up very quickly indeed, but a little too... No, there's one right here. There's one right here, so emergency attack missile defense erection from Ajax keeps the missiles out of his important naval facility there. Suzuki heading back into the water, and he's spamming up some of his own now. Might as well send in all of the frigates as well. That was a reposition of that fleet rather than an attack order. That Exodus is just opening up as he's come into range. Jaguar doesn't like the look of that. He has his destroyer in sub mode. Or does he? Trick of the light there. The trick is with those is they're blue. And the trick is with the sea, it's blue. So how you're supposed to see it. Products getting very close to Ajax's more sensitive areas. Always a worry for any SOCOM player, letting someone near your sensitive area. Low muzzle velocity on those destroyers. Always a problem, though, against someone who's microing their fleet adequately. Mass T1 pressure in the sea, looking like it was about to make a push for this T2 Naval HQ. Jazzy responds by withdrawing some of his fleet over here. He could quite happily take that, but Ajax looking like he was going to turn tail and assist. What he won't be happy to contend with are all of these torpedo launchers, the DN1s. He's got quite a few of them online in there. 7 or 8 of them. Floaty, floaty, naughty, naughty, coming off the Causeway from Ajax, trying to contend with these frigates. Not going to get a huge amount done with those. He has forced Plodox off that position. Plodox could handle that pretty easily with a bit of careful micro. Frigate's reasonably good in that scenario. Now Ajax advancing over here. Chief Jaguar withdrawing towards his shoreline. Starlifter over here. What's going on? This will be the withdrawal, I would imagine, of Plodox's commander to somewhere a little safer. Plodox with the T2 engineering suite on board, working on a T2 PGen. That's actually his 3rd and 4th going up there, potentially. So, not exposing his power grid to too much danger by putting it all on that side island. Slightly easier reach of Feather. Might be easier to micro against than other vessels, but there's something to be said for just watching Exodus class destroyers bombard things. Bombers inbound from Jaguar, only T1, so not a huge amount to worry about, but he might be concerned by the torpedo bombers coming in from Suzuki. They'll make a mess of your destroyers, especially when this little fleet is cruiserless and has no anti-air capability to speak of. Cheeky little drop to the side island from Jazzy, though. Gets straight in there with his commander. Builds a triad. Starlifter wailing away and taking down that mass extractor at the pace at which the Atlantic is expanding. Jaguar getting a T3 upgrade on his commander. Jaguar and Suzuki teaming up to dismantle the forward production facilities there for Ajax. Still has his HQ operational down here. Not a great engage for Suzuki. He's going to get creamed if he stays there much longer. Whoa. Frigate slowly succumbing to that long-range destroyer fire. ASFs from Nexus piling up in the middle. It's been very quiet from Nexus and from HAL 9000 generally, just doing their airplay a bit, teching up, building up, ecoing up. SMD under construction from HAL 9000. It's getting to that time in the game where something like that's sensible. You don't want to miss a rush nuke. SMD, sorry, just started for Nexus as well. But that's a pretty major naval conflict brewing down here next to Ajax and Jazzy. Really can't afford to lose all these facilities. But this has worked out very well indeed. Taking a note out of Plodox there with the comm drop. Just goes to show you guys, comm drop doesn't have to be a drop into someone's base, like their main base, putting the commander in serious danger. There's plenty others that other sensible strategic decisions you can make on that front in the mid game without exposing your commander to too much potential disaster. Now we're starting to see some governors coming out from Jazzy. Ideal way to sting these T1 factories over here from Suzuki. No TMD and no cruisers either to help shoot those down. Buzz kills rattling away from somewhere. Hear those suckers from orbit. Would you look at that? So HAL 9000 with kennels online. He started a whole bunch of different buildings. He's just going to let those run. That is a thing of beauty. Mass SimCity construction. There are people out there that yawn at this, but personally, it's a lovely part of this game. The scale. It's no StarCraft. It's not just a Twitch-based point and click. You get these larger, drawn-out games. Teammates taking up the slack, allowing you to eco so that you can come out with the big guns later on in the game. Battle cruiser for Jazzy, just tearing it up as it reaches those T1 naval yards for Suzuki. He's not going to hang on to those, not with firepower of that magnitude. Naval battle in the bottom pond. There's a Neptune here, lots of bulwark ships, good shield coverage for Feather, but we have battleships in play now for Plodox, and the momentum, for now at least, seems to be with him, slowly pushing his way on towards Feather's base. Needs another battle cruiser or two to carve through these vessels quicker. Interesting. So sub-hunters now out for Suzuki, certainly one of them. Will that be making a beeline for that Neptune, I wonder? Lots of communication now between the players as things really start to heat up. Pressure building on the doorstep of a Chief Jaguar's base as the combined forces of Ajax and Jazzy make their way into waters that are firmly on Team 1's side of the map. We're going to have to go to split screen, I think, to keep an eye on these two theaters. Two Omen-class battleships down here now for Plodox, but there are so many shield boats. I'm going to say I like where this is going for Plodox. I like where this is going for Jazzy and Ajax. They're definitely going to want to take down that T3 Naval HQ and stop the emergence of any more sub-hunters. That's down to around 70%, 65%, something around that mark. We have a battleship online, though, now for a Chief Jaguar, who's sitting comfortably at range. Do we have enough shield coverage, is the question. Jazzy could do with moving these boats forward, getting them in the mix. There's now two battleships online, so a lot of engineers assisting these two T3 naval yards for a Chief Jaguar. Could we be witnessing the stall of Team 1's naval attack in the top pond and potentially vice versa now in the bottom pond? We still have the two Omens in play down here, a third one slightly higher up, but there seems to be an exponential increase in Neptune battle cruisers arriving under what's seemingly a very stable area of shield coverage for Feather. So lots of yo-yoing in the oceans, and that attack is broken off from Team 2 in that top pond. Nice, confident hold from a Chief Jaguar and Suzuki, who keeps his T3 naval yard back here with about 35-40% on board. Back to single screen as conflict resumes predominantly in the bottom pond. Top pond's in full retreat. In fact, Plodox in full retreat as well, in the face of an emboldened Feather, now pushing his way out with the assistance of some stalks there from Nexus. Howe comes in to challenge those, and now we have some major ASF posturing between the two air players, neither one wanting to force a bad engage and offer air control to their opponents. Another group of ASFs massing back here. Nexus with 356 air superiority fighters. HAL 9000 with 303. So huge titanic numbers on both sides. Absolutely unreal. But a slight advantage for Team 2 in the air game. Of course, that can be wiped out in an instant with a bad engage. Ajax getting a Tempest online. We're officially in that experimental phase of the game now as we hit the 30-minute mark. Taking a quick look at economy, 1.3k to 1.4 in favor of Team 2, now 1.5. Team 2 with a 20-odd K mass advantage over the course of the game in total mass accrued. That's starting to become significant. Just see what I was talking about earlier, how my rig at some point soon will struggle, just give you fair warning, to keep up when you're talking about numbers like this, the sheer numbers of projectiles that are coming your way. And now battle cruisers under assault down here for Jazzy. We do have a summit, so that has the range to fire back, but with 5 Seraphim battleships on the horizon there. Oh, that's gorgeous. What? Plodox control K's out. Are you kidding me? Plodox bows out of the game. Who knows why? Because of Plod invites, trying to discern something. Suzuki, I don't know why I joined, but nothing from Plodox. Probably all chatting about it on comms. Down he goes. Not sure whether there was a huge amount of lag or what, but something became untenable. And all of that transferred now over to HAL 9000. And in fact, Suzuki has transferred everything over to achieve Jaguar. So it's essentially now a 2 versus 4, but with all of the infrastructure in place. Setons, of course, these days obligatory full share. So somewhere a fairy has died after a botched circumcision. Omen-class battleship bravely, if not foolhardily, strolling into the line of sight of those Seraphim battleships, taking huge amounts of fire and still retaining more than 50% of its health. That gives you an idea of just how chunky these things are. And now that Tempest sitting under comfortable shield coverage has a very nice, juicy, grouped up target to fire back at. Not utilizing the splash damage at the moment. I was going after that lead battleship. Suzuki, with his comm on board a continental transport, essentially committing suicide as Nexus homes in on it. He drops off the comm, so he's not out for it as yet. He's going to try and TML. He's got the tactical missile launcher online, but that's been spotted, and now in come the Storks from Nexus. And Suzuki will bow out. And that leaves HAL 9000 and Achieve Jaguar in a sticky situation. The stickiest situation since Sticky the Stick Insect got stuck to a sticky bun. Massive T1 naval spam on the way from Feather, trying to capitalize on now what will be a overly stressed player trying to contend with multiple theaters. Torpedo bombers targeting Jaguar's Seraphim battleships. There's definitely a solid push now. Team 2 sensing victory with the droppage of 2 of their opponents. Of course, that dumps a huge amount of mass into Jaguar and HAL's hands. The question is, what are they going to do with it? Oh, well, HAL 9000 is going to build a Mabel. That's one way to go about it. God, what is it with the Mabel constructions these days? And there you can see the slowdown. I told you it was going to happen. The sheer amount of projectiles. Just hideous. Is there ever going to be a computer invented that can adequately cope with this game when it's maxed? I humbly suggest not until the quantum computers arrive. Just solid lockup. Sheer quantities of ASFs moving around. Where are we at? 482 ASFs there for HAL 9000. And we match that up against Nexus, who has 561. So you know it's going to get sticky when those two piles of fighters go at it as the game recovers. Tempest's rolling forward. Summit perhaps strolls a little bit too far forward, exposing himself unnecessary to incoming fire without shield coverage, of which there is plenty. It just needs to bring those forward a little. Those Tempests and their outrageous firepower picking off battleships as they go. I have a few messages lately, people wanting me to zoom in more. It's a tough balance. Trying to stay aware of what's going on. Look at those fighters. And Feather has, rather unsurprisingly, rolled over Plodox's former position, and he's now taking the side island out there with a Summit. Tempests now online for Ajax, slowly withdrawing back towards Team 2's position, and I can't believe it, but Jaguar is winning, it seems, at least in terms of gaining back some territory. Lots of Zuis out, absorbing some of the incoming fire. Nice little breakout here, and they need to win somewhere. I tell you what's going to help them win. That'll be the Mabel that HAL 9000 has completed. Nuke launcher under construction in the background there. HAL 9000 switching full on to standoff tactics here. Shield gens and SMDs under construction en masse, and would you look at what he's doing to Nexus, who's lost the vast majority of his facilities, and he's started work on a Paragon, which he's halfway through. HAL 9000 has spotted that. Large explosion somewhere by the sounds of things. It's like a support commander. Plodox's base dismantled by a huge quantity of Summits in the Bay Area there. Nexus's commander very exposed. He needs to be careful. How many times have we seen a Mavor comfortably take out commander? Like that, maybe. Oh my god, the timing. He switches up to Feather, who was relatively unshielded, and he gets picked off by a Mavor shell to the face. Control gets transferred over to Nexus. But this is a major problem now for Team 2. You need to find some way to take this out. Sneaking any kind of strap bombers in is going to be difficult because of that. No Cybran players today. So no stealthy naughtiness with those strats. The breakout from Jaguar seems to have stalled, and looks like it's Team 2's turn to push forward in the top pond. Jaguar taking fire in what was Suzuki's old position on the Causeway. Strategic missile launcher under construction in Jaguar's base. Team 2, though, still well in the lead on generated eco as a total by about 700 mass. It's 1,000 to 1.6, 1.7k. Team 2 with nearly a 200,000 mass lead. That's pretty extraordinary. But as is the firepower unleashed by the greatest structure in the game. Another explosion. Tell me I've missed another comm. Nope. Gonna have to keep an eye on this Mabel and where it's targeting. Well, it looks like it's going after Ajax now. With those nuclear triggered shells. What a wonderful machine that is. Question is that Paragon gone? Yes, it has. So the Mabel has dealt with the Paragon. Nexus still wandering around in the wilderness. Team 2 just getting punished by this artillery piece. It's raining down.
Strategic launch detected.
All over the place. Nuke out, and that's from Hal as well. Where's he going with it? He's going down here. Lots of engineers from Nexus who was trying to embark on the next phase of his attack. Working on a Colossus. That Summit is going to get it as well. In fact, it's going to clear out an awful lot of garbage. Don't bring your troops over here. Another couple of engineers, this time T3. Gonna get kafluied. Just beautiful. HAL 9000 at nearly a 3 kill loss ratio, nearly 3 kills for every unit lost. And that, you would wonder, is only likely to increase now as he rains long-range nuclear charged death down on his opponents who have no way to retaliate at the moment. Nexus has lost essentially almost all of his production. It's almost worth HAL 9000 forcing an air battle now, because even if he loses, Nexus isn't going to be able to replenish at anywhere near the rate that he can, even though he's got 200 more mass. He's not got the air facilities left to produce from. And I can't believe it, but I don't know if there's any way back from this. Still vicious fighting in the top pond between Jaguar and Jazzy. Jaguar just about holding his own. These bulwark ships, the shield boats, have been a godsend. I tell you what, the way back is right here. There's a lot of strategic missile subs, first strike weapons over here. If they can find an opening and launch at HAL, might be able to get something done, but HAL is preparing for exactly that one. In fact, let's just do a quick count. How many SMDs has he got? He's got 5 SMDs. That's pretty good going. 1 missile there, 1 missile there, 1 there, and 4 anti-nukes in this one. That must be the original. And now he's got a nuke ready to go again out of the main silo as that Mabel continues to fire. God only knows where it's going now. Attacking Ajax on the Causeway, and that's where the nuke is going as well. And that could be a very nicely placed nuke. Look at all of those P-gens. Got the mass option down here with T2 mass fabs. Ajax currently on 355 mass with 44k power. Will the nuke make it through? Are there any SMDs? There's one here. That's empty. Another strategic missile defense on the way, but that's not going to help. Don't put your planes too close. I know you don't know where the nuke's going. Support commanderman just outside the blast radius. Oh, would you look at that. Instantly drops him down to 300. Well, I said 304. He seems to have recovered instantly. That must be reclaim related. 304 from 355 mass for Ajax. And he's lost about 10,000 power in that. And here we go. Here's the counter-attack. Nuclear submarines off the coast. They don't have a second barrage of missiles to fire. They've got this one volley. And I'm sorry to say, with all of the SMDs in place, I'm dubious. I might hit a fighter on the way in. That might help. Strategic launch detected. All going for that Naval, and if one was to connect, that would be cataclysmic. In fact, it would probably take Hal out. ACU standing right there, but they're going in one at a time, and there's comprehensive missile defenses in play. 2 missiles, anti-nukes remain. Massive T1 bombers going in after the land factories that have been produced by Ajax. And is this the air battle we've been waiting for? Doesn't really want to have it over the top. There's only a couple of cruisers. There's about 4. Ideally doesn't want to have it over that. But it really is in favor now, in HAL 9000's favor, to provoke an air battle for the reasons we said earlier. In come the Stingers. Gunships taking care of the cruisers. They've got a lot of shield boats to chew through first, though. Maybe that was a poor decision. It depends how many cruisers are there, how many hit points there, and how many gunships. The shield seems to be holding reasonably firm, and as soon as I say that, Curse of the Commentator comes in, and there it drops. Cruisers vulnerable. There they go. Shield boats will be next, and then in the torpedo bombers will come to go after those submarines. In fact, the submarines are pretty well exposed anyway. So this will not be an option once again for Nexus, and Nexus doesn't want to come in. He doesn't want to have that air battle, because once he's had it, that's it. He will not be able to use his air force to threaten in any way. Another nuke does escape through the carnage, but I'm pretty sure he's got it covered. Another 3 anti-nukes still in play in that base, and it's actually shot down from one a little further out. HAL 9000 well covered from nuclear counter-attack, and still the one area where Team 2 looked like they could make progress, where they had to make progress is not happening. And would you look at the eco now? Chief Jaguar overtakes Nexus, who somehow is on 800. I mean, I know he's on 2 base, but that's outrageous. But Chief Jaguar is on 810, and he's on 810 because if you look very closely, he has 413 T2 mass fabricators. I've never seen that in the 500-something casts. I've never seen that much commitment to T2 mass fabricator production. That's insane. Look at the templates. He's just laid them down everywhere. Operating, of course, off more than one unit cap. The unit cap is divided, incidentally, if you've only ever played classic GPG SOPCOM, or indeed, I think, played on the Steam SOPCOM as well. You're confined once your teammates die to the same old unit cap before, which of course is ridiculous. How on earth are you meant to contend with your opponents when you can't even build the same amount? Well, in fact, you can. And a Chief Jaguar decided to spend that unit cap on ridiculous amounts of mass fabricators. Now he's had the time to get that built. 49 minutes gone game time. Obviously a lot longer than that, I would imagine, in the cast. It says sim speeds at 0, but even with the number crunching power of the new rig, I doubt that's true. We've already seen some very dramatic slowdown a little earlier in the game. Is he going to nuke the fleet? I'd love that play if he does. And in fact, Jazzy's had enough. He's transferred full control over to Ajux, who doesn't get his fleet nuked. I actually think that probably would have been the sensible option, but it looks like he's going for the naval headquarters at the back. That will completely eliminate Ajux's ability to produce T3 naval weaponry. 10,000 degrees instantly. Shockwave goes out. Just awesome. So no more battleships joining the fray up here. The Tempests, it would seem, have been destroyed at some point. And it also would seem destroyed and had their wrecks cannibalized. But would you look, we've been listening to that whistling for a while now. Those torpedo bombers have annihilated the subfleet, the cruisers, the bulwark ships, and now those summits which have sat up here for such a long time, clearing out what was Plordox's old base, causing problems for a Chief Jaguar up front from what was Suzuki's old base. Those summits finally are dealt with, and dealt with very comfortably indeed. And now HAL 9000 is able to take that vast Stork air wing on to harass Ajux, and this will now be a comprehensive win in the top ocean for a Chief Jaguar, and put T2 in a just frankly, I don't know what, a horrendous position. This, you would think, could have been their salvation if they could get that online, but that Mabel from HAL 9000 already locked onto this position. There's no way Team 2 are going to be able to build a counter Mabel. They're about 40% done. Mabel shells raining down on that shielded position by Jazzy, and in fact, if this position goes, Jazzy can find himself being evicted as well. Admittedly, all control already handed over to his teammate. Another nuke out. Where is it? It's HAL 9000 once again. Where's it going? It's going down over here. Does he know he's taking care of any strategic missile defense? There's one going up over here. That's too late to help. You know that might get through, and if that gets through, that could take Nexus, that could take Jazzy both out of the game in one fell swoop. Missile inbound. And Team 2 still out producing Team 1 in the mass game by 200k, but it's just never been more of an irrelevance than it is right now. Nexus still in the blast radius. He's recognized the danger is starting to move. Has he left it too long? Is he in the blast radius? Oh my god, it's a double elimination. Boom, baby! HAL 9000 takes out Nexus and Jazzy with one nuke, leaving Ajax to entertain this farce on his own. And not only that, he got 2 for 1 ACUs into the bargain, but he also killed off a Mabel that was half done. Just ridiculous. Ridiculous. Team 2 started too late on their game enders. Had they got that Paragon up and running a tad earlier, then perhaps this game would have gone a different way. But frankly, my dear, how on earth does Ajax recover from this? I'm pretty sure he doesn't. 53 minutes down. Mabel shells still raining down upon him. A Chief Jaguar steamrolling in towards his base with countless numbers of Seraphim battleships. ASFs from HAL 9000 wanting that engage. Ajax looking like he doesn't want it. It really is down to those massive air movements. It always was for the big slowdowns. Those huge air forces, just look at them. Screenshot of the week right there. As one by one, naval yards, engineers and summits succumb to this Seraphim pressure. Every second, Ajax's power is diminished, and finally it's 1.6k apiece on generated eco. Team 1 finally levels. Huge volleys of Seraphim battleship fire, just creaming those BS. Ajax trying to hit back now at what was Plodox's old base. Chief Jaguar had expanded out to that. All of the mass around there up to T2 with associated mass storage. Look at the mass turnoff of the mass fabs.
Strategic launch detected.
And now nuclear missiles out from Jaguar's land-based nukes, nuke silos. Where is he going with those? Lots of structures to be eliminated down here. Lots of support commanders around, of course, which are keeping Ajax afloat.
Strategic launch detected.
But this naval position is down and out. It is gone. And same can be said pretty much for Jazzy's old base, as those missiles tear huge holes in his infrastructure. Oh, look at that. That'll deal with it. One governor survives. Some gunships or some stalks will make short work of that. Oh my word. Oh my word, ASF's getting hit now by Mabel shells. Taking out huge numbers of them. 446 on the screen. 415. He needs to move them. Fortunately, some spy planes fly past. That saves some more.
Strategic launch detected.
Another nuke out from HAL 9000. This is a lesson in standoff tactics here. Massive Zooey incursion from the sea from Jaguar. Actually, after that nuclear strike, we've had some more cruisers show up in the bay. With a fresh group of Storks lining up to take out the governor, I would imagine, first of all. Nuke out over here. Hits Feather's old starting location. Could have done with being a little further over. Killed a few more T3 gens there. But just dismantling an infrastructure as widespread as this. I mean, this has been under Mabel fire, this whole region now, for half an hour, 25 minutes, something like that. So Team 2 have embarked on a mass plan of decentralization to try and keep their power grid as spread out as possible. That means taking it down is just that bit harder. Adjux nearby that explosion with his commander as the Mavor targets the kennels. Support commander gets hit. Large group of support commanders here dealing very nicely with that Zooey incursion. There goes Adjux's original base. Jaguar says he has 15 battleships making nukes. That's going to be interesting when they all go off.
Strategic launch detected.
This is outrageous. Outrageous nuclear spam. It's been a complete batting collapse from T2 ever since the emergence of that Mavor that started systematically taking down Team 2's defenses. This time it's the side island that's going to get hit. That will be the end to all structures on there, I would think. There's not a huge radius on those edge islands. Well, keeps one mass point, a few mass storage, and a land factory. Another support commander goes pop. Adjux very close to it indeed. Trying to keep his comm shielded as best he can. As the Seraphim battleships stack up in the bay, going to create a wide exclusion zone, a wide dead zone, if you will, with the amount of firepower there. Nexus telling his teammate Adjux to think about alternative strategies, maybe tele a group of support commanders in and take out the power grid. I think it was worth a try. HAL 9000 himself is well protected with personal shield and quite a significant quantity of point defense, T1, T2 and T3. Chief Jaguar now just with ridiculous. I'm quite curious actually to see how many mass fabs we're up to now. Where are we? If I can actually... I'm on HAL 9000, that's why. Misclick there. 764 T2 mass fabs. That is ridiculous. There's no other way to describe that. It's insane. Just insane. Sheer amount. And that's why he's pulling in 1.4k. HAL 9000 is just on 385. He's happy with where he's at. Hasn't need to replenish any of his units, really. Hardly had much going on in the air game.
Strategic launch detected.
Lost a few torpedo bombers here and there, clearing out some awkward fleets. But ultimately,
Strategic launch detected.
it's just been hurling nukes and Mabel shells at his opponents until they capitulate. That's pretty impressive when you think HAL 9000 and Achieve Jaguar were both left by their teammates, but this is what I've been saying in the past. This is the problem with full share. You dumped someone else's eco into HAL 9000 that allowed him to funnel and channel all that eco into the Mavor, and that weapon is what has changed this game. That's what's turned it around. And that is the problem with full share. When that economy is split, everybody has their own offensive and defensive concerns to take into consideration, and that means these big game enders or these strategies that require massive eco deployment can get put into action when the economy is transferred to the control of one person. The counter argument, of course, is that it allows these games to be, you know, lengthened slightly or considerably, I'd say, because once you lose a player and you lose everything, that's hard to recover from. But it does make the snipe a legitimate tactic, gives recourse to people who might have been losing. But this has just been comprehensive, utterly comprehensive demolishment. That's not even a word, I don't think, but it fits. It fits for today's game. Nexus just had no way to counter it, and was, without getting assistance from his teammates, was never going to get his Paragon up in anywhere near the same sort of time scale that that HAL got his Mavor up.
Strategic launch detected.
Lots of transports, not sure what they were produced for.
Strategic launch detected.
Doesn't seem to be any great
Strategic launch detected.
land production going on, but these are the times we're living in.
Strategic launch detected.
Massive nuclear strike out from Achieve Jaguar. Ajax holding on here and doing pretty well, actually, with his defense. Not a single nuke
Strategic launch detected.
has gotten through yet.
Strategic launch detected.
There's more being launched all the time. This would actually be annoying me quite seriously if I was a Chief Jaguar and they were all getting shot down. Not a single nuke breaks through that screen. Jaguar, stop loading them, please. Ethota making his way over here. It's like the first land experimental we've seen really in the game do anything offensive. That GC, which we lost track of, over here. One nuke does get through. GC that got hit by the nuke but wasn't destroyed made its way up over here, but didn't get much done.
Strategic launch detected. Strategic launch detected.
Just ridiculous. Another couple of nukes out from Hal and Jaguar. Base-borne nukes this time. That is Thota running into the new set of kennels at the back. Scout planes coming in en masse. Is that going to provoke a response? Adjux with his commander over here.
Strategic launch detected.
Interesting. Might have thought that was his commander or something. A little bit excessive. Now Team 1 re-establishing control in the bottom pond as they develop
Strategic launch detected.
factories en masse. This is just getting silly now, the amount of nukes that are on the way. Where's that come from? Is that's a Yolana Os, an experimental missile launcher constructed by Jaguar. That's going to kill a lot of support commanders if it breaks through. And there's the air battle and the slowdown we were waiting for. ASF numbers that have been building all game. One anti-nuke out, it connects. The second one will connect as well. Down goes that. That's a massive air win for HAL 9000. Not surprising, those numbers from Team 2 have been dwindling. Slowly picked off by Mabel shells, not finding a safe place to land. Support
detected.
commanders getting rinsed by the Mavor. Oh, it's beautiful. And what's even more beautiful is that's probably the Yolana Os nuke that's inbound. Ridiculous rate of fire on that thing. HAL 9000 was worried about a potential tele SCU that might have been building down there, but as he says, not anymore. Mavor annihilates those. You don't want your fighters or your gunships anywhere near this area. HAL, get them out. Get them out. There's going to be a lot of friendly casualties in this one. Oh my god. Boom, baby. Terrain deformation as that bad boy connects. Proper destruction, and credit where credit's due to Ajax for allowing Team 1 to unleash this, and stick around. Subcom head affecting me now so much that my speech is stopping working. Trying to work out where Ajax's commander actually is. Ah, there it is. It got picked off by the broadswords that isolated him. And there it is. Seriously, that's not cool. I beg to differ. That game was very cool. Outrageous. Outrageous. That's the most amount of nukes I think I've seen in a game that I've casted ever. There's no question. And two proper game enders there. A Mavor and a Yolana Os. Operational and functional. What a game. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did. There's always more to come from me in the future. Don't forget, if you feel so inclined, guys, you can support me on Patreon. Each donation helps support me and, by extension, the channel and the community. So thank you in advance for any and all kind donation. And thank you for all of those who have made donations in the past. It touches and warms my heart. More tournament action on the way soon, as well as a couple more juicy team games, which I have lined up. Stay tuned. Don't know if I'll get another one out this week, but more to come certainly next week. Until next time, guys, stay well and stay safe. This is Guile, signing out.